Welcome to the People's View. I'm your host, Carl Seidel. The People's View is sponsored by the Nashua Republican City Committee, and you can find out more about the activities of the committee by going to its website, nashuagop.org. We meet on the second Thursday of the month at the Crown Plaza Hotel Auditorium, and we'd like to see you there.
Welcome to The People's View, a program dedicated to discussing local, state, and national issues and their effect on the American people. The People's View provides a platform for state representatives and national figures to present their viewpoint. Whether it's social, economic, or financial topics, you'll hear it on The People's View.
Hello, we're here at the People's View with Senator Bob Smith. Bob, how are you doing today? And now that you're up here in New Hampshire again, what are we going to see from you as you run for the Senate seat?
Well, Carl, first of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's going to be a slog, you know. I mean, we know the left is strong, you know, but we're I'm basically coming out of retirement because I really believe that the country's in deep trouble, and I think that we've got to take on and confront these issues. But I you know, in a way that when we look at what's going on, I mean, our freedoms, the centralization of government, Obamacare, we're telling you you can't have your doctor, you can't have this insurance, or your rates are going up, or whatever. It's just one thing after another, and it's just wrong. And as I've said before, it's nothing against Jeanne Shaheen personally, but you know, her policies are wrong. So I want to, I'm going to go on the issues hard, and I have a lot of battle scars. There's not much they can do to hurt me any worse than they have. So I'm ready. I guess you could say I'm tested, and I'm ready to go. I've dropped 65 pounds.
Wow.
So I'm at my fighting weight.
There you go.
Yeah, so
that's it.
You know, bring it on. You know, I'm ready. And we may even have Scott Brown in the primary, and that'll be fine too. You know, you know, he might want to consider the Democrat primary, but he is. I guess he's coming up here to get in a Republican primary.
Well, he's getting him back in here anyway. That's what the rumors are anyway. You never know until it happens.
You know, my grandfather used to say, worry about the things you can control.
Right.
I can control me, but I don't have any control over him. So whatever he does, he does.
You have like, what, 16, 18 years experience in
Well, yeah, I've had 18 years in the Congress and several years of running for office. You know, prior to that, I ran twice before I won. As you know, I ran in 1980 and lost. In 82, I won the primary and lost the general to Norm DeMoore. And then in 84, won for the first time against Dudley Dudley. Some of us old-timers will remember her. Yeah. That's a voice from the past.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, and then it's New Hampshire's a great state, you know, the live free or die state. But it is about freedom and liberty, and the things that we cherish so much in this country, and we're losing these things. But it's not enough to whine. You know how you get your emails and everybody's whining about Obama or whining about this. Look, step up, rise to the challenge like Reagan did. And, you know, Reagan, remember when Carter used to sit around and shivering and he'd say, we got no oil, we got to turn the heat down. Reagan said, come on, we're Americans. Yeah. You know, we can do it. We can get more oil.
He was very enthusiastic, and that's what you do need to build up the people.
You have to have a positive solution if you're going to be negative. And the positive solution is, let's get back to the Constitution. Let's get back to the liberties that we all cherish. And you know, people always ask you why you're running. There are really three reasons. Number one, our founding fathers did a lot for us. I mean, when you think about it, we could all be speaking British right now.
That's right.
I mean, there were only one third of them who actually fought the fight. There were another third that stayed with the British, and another third that kind of played both sides, kind of like it is now. And the second reason is there are a lot of blood that's been shed to preserve this nation over the last 230 or 40 years. And that we owe it to them to respect that sacrifice and to save this country. And finally, we owe it to our children and our grandchildren, our posterity. I mean, this is our
Definitely.
watch.
That's right.
And, you know, whether you're talking about the debt or you're talking about loss of freedoms, where the government intrudes into your life, but especially the debt. Do we really want to pass on trillions and trillions of dollars in debt? This is what we're doing to our children and grandchildren. You know, most people, when they write a will, they want to leave their assets to their children, not their debts. I guess if you have
Well, they're going to try
one
to
of the
take
kids that's not very good, and you say, to you, I leave my car payments, and to you, I'll leave my house, you know, all paid for, whatever.
Yeah. Well, you got to watch out for this government because they're going to go after your assets too now.
Yeah.
And you know,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
some of the problems that how they can diminish this sizable debt of $17 trillion dollars. And that's not with the unfunded liabilities we have on the pension and Medicare
Oh
and
my
the Social
gosh.
Security.
If you go back out into the unfunded liabilities,
Yeah.
you're in well over 100 trillion, maybe even more. It depends. I mean, if you take a baby born today and you figure all the benefits that child's going to get that we've committed to
Sure.
it, Social Security, Medicare, all the way out to the end of his or her life, I mean, you're talking probably 100 to 200 trillion. We have to stop it. It's insane. I mean, you ever watch these debt clocks?
Oh yeah.
You know, and it's just
They
jiggling
can't-
along 17 trillion. And, you know, I want to see it going the other way. I
Yeah.
want to see it going down. And you're not going to do that overnight. But here's the thing. One of the things that I want to talk about. Can you imagine, not only New Hampshire, but all across the country, if we deregulated business, we cut business tax, we cut the business profits, you know, I'm sorry, we cut the taxes on businesses and their profits, we cut spending, we reduce the capital gains tax or eliminate it, and just spur the economy on with deregulation and cutting taxes. This economy is going to take off, and that's going to produce new growth, new revenues, and new jobs. And that's what it's about. I got a kick out of Obama the other night. I know we're taping here, but the other night when Obama was talking about, at his State of the Union, talking about minimum wage.
Yeah.
You know, a business can pay good wages if they're not overtaxed, and so that they can share their profits with their employees by creating more business and new growth and new jobs and higher paying jobs. That's the way to get your minimum wage. Let the businesses do it.
He's doing it to have the you know the lesser wealthy people compete against the rich people. You know this
He's got-
segregation of
Well, redistribution of wealth, you know, but you know what he forgets? Somebody has to create that wealth
that's right.
before you can redistribute it.
Right.
And he doesn't get it. He thinks the wealth is created at the federal government. There isn't any wealth created
No.
there. They're taking it from us. So it's big. And, you know, I get very concerned about where this could all end up. I mean, right now, at about 3% borrowing, we're still looking at $350 billion a year in interest,
Right.
roughly, on our debt. You imagine if that interest rate went to 9%, which it was not too long ago. 9% would cost $1 trillion a year in interest, Carl. $1 trillion. I mean, we couldn't even pay it.
No.
We have to turn it around. And, you know, this is one of the difficulties about running for office. Sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth. But I'm going to tell the truth.
Didn't we do that, well, what was it, maybe 20 years ago when we started cutting some of the taxes and paying off our debt? We actually started to go down a bit.
We did.
That's when you were in the...
Ironically, during the Bill Clinton years.
Yeah.
Bill
Yeah.
Clinton and the Republican Congress, Clinton reached out, worked with us. We did welfare reform. It's not often that I tout Clinton, but hey, give the devil his due. I mean, he did work with Congress. Clinton was a very personable guy. You know, as much as I criticize him, he's always polite and nice to me.
And he was pragmatic. And
Pragmatic guy. He understood. You know, you can't isolate people and antagonize people that you have to work with.
That's right.
He never threatened to. He might have threatened to veto. That's part of the constitutional process.
Yeah.
But he never threatened to go around Congress, to literally go around them like Obama talks about. I'll get my pen and I'll do what I have to do.
Or call you in for a legislative meeting and say, well, I'm not going to compromise. You're going to take this and that's it. And that's not working with you at all.
No,
I mean,
Clinton understood.
Yeah.
And Obama, I don't think even likes. I think he has the idea that he can unilaterally make decisions. You know, here's the thing. Everybody says, well, he's incompetent. He's not incompetent. I wish that were, he's not. He is very competent. He knows exactly what he wants to do. And he wants to do it. And he doesn't want the Congress in the way.
That's right.
And be damned with the Constitution. Let's just get it done. But, you know, look, the people elected him. We have to respect that. He's there. He's the president. And we need to change the Congress. And then hopefully in 2016 change the White House.
Well, if we do get to change the Congress, is there something that we can do about these executive orders that he has? Some of them are really plainly unconstitutional.
Yeah, executive orders are really abused here. All presidents have used them. Probably to some extent all presidents have abused them. But not like this. I mean, he really, you know, it's like when the Congress is out of session for a while, you can have these forget the legislative term now, but you can have this recess appointment. And he now believes that anytime the Congress is not there, whether they're there or not, I can go ahead and have these appointments. And then the thing that Senator Reid did, where they now change the Senate rules to say, all right, 51 votes of the Republicans can't block a judicial nomination or somebody's nomination. You know, if a judge is good or an appointment is good, chances are they're going to get 60 votes. I mean, I voted for a lot of Democrat appointments when I was there because he's the president, whether it was in this case was Bill Clinton. You know, I voted for Janet Reno, for goodness sakes, but not because I like Janet Reno, but that was his choice to be his attorney general. He was elected president. But when people there's something in their background that is wrong or, you know, perhaps illegal or something, you know, not untoward or something not really good, you know, good, then I think we have a right to look. That's the advise and consent role of Congress. And he doesn't seem to respect that. And it's unfortunate. It's going to, and then when Reid changed the rules, that's going to come back to bite him because he's not always going to be in the majority.
Well, let's hope
I can
we
assure him
change
of that. Hopefully very soon.
Soon, yeah.
Hopefully with this vote right here,
Right.
the 51st vote for Senator Shaheen, if she were to be defeated and I could take office, I could be at least the 51st, if not maybe the 58th or whatever.
There you go.
To change the Senate, that could make a big difference.
Well, you know, compare now to 2010, when we had a lot of independents here in New Hampshire that voted Republican and gave us a supermajority in the House and the state. Do you think it's somewhat similar now, or?
I do. I think that's a very good analogy, Carl. I mean, see, here's what's happening. If you look at the issue of Obamacare, which is going to be a major issue, I believe, in the campaign, because Senator Shaheen was one of those senators who basically mimicked President Obama by saying, you're not going to lose your doctor, you're not going to lose your health insurance. Well, people are losing their doctor, and they are losing their health insurance. There are hospitals, there are 10 or 11 hospitals that are not going to be covered by Anthem. So people are losing it. And in addition to that, in about a year from now, businesses are going to, they're going to be kicked into the Obamacare program, and they're going to have to either reduce hours to part-time or go to 39 hours or something to get into below the 40 hours. They're going to cut people back or fire people. So they're going to lose their health care. If they don't lose it, they're probably going to lose their spouse or perhaps their dependents. They're just going to cover the individual so that they can keep them employed. There are a lot of things that are going to happen. And so Shaheen is on the record on this. I mean, it's Obama Shaheen here. It's, no, you're not going to lose your doctor or your hospital. That's what she said. So, you know, you can't walk away from that. Now, here's the thing. Here's why, to go back to your point. Same thing happened in 2010. About 40% of the electorate here in New Hampshire are not designated. They're not. They're not Democrats. They're not Republicans, and they basically independents or non-declared. So I want to talk to those people because, you know, there are a lot of them out there that wouldn't go to a Republican or a Democrat event and wave a balloon or jump up and down to see some speaker. They could care less. But they're good, solid people. They're hardworking. They get up in the morning, put their pants on just like we do. they're trying to raise their families, get their kids to college, keep their jobs, maybe watch the Super Bowl, just live their lives. And they don't want the government messing with them.
Right.
Just leave me
Right.
alone. The government's here to protect me, but not to hassle me. And we're now seeing that different with the NSA stuff and the IRS snooping, all this stuff. I mean, it's bad. And so these people are independent-minded, and it's not about politics. It's not about being Republican or Democrat. It's about I'm a hardworking person, and I'm told by my federal government that I cannot have the health insurance policy that I've had for the last X number of years.
Right.
And I've had a good policy, and my family's happy with it. My insurance company's happy with me. I'm happy with them. And now suddenly they're told, and I'm told, we can't have it anymore. That is going to cause people to reassess where they are on issues, on voting, and I think it's going to move to the top as the dominant issue, and those people are going to come out and vote, and it's not going to be good news for.
So how are you going to reach all these undeclared people?
Well, I mean, that's always a big, you always need money, but I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm running right now as if I was 40 years old.
Good.
And grassroots campaign. We had a great meeting this week with some state reps. We're reaching out to the grassroots. Those folks are the ones that they know their towns, they know their districts, they have their pulse on what's happening in the community, in this state, all over. I want to hear from them. It's not about talking, it's hearing, listening. What's on your mind? What can I do? What do you want from me? What do you want me to do? And what I'm hearing is they want the debt reduced so that they don't have to pay all that, all those interest on the debt, and they want their taxes reduced, certainly not increased. They'd like to see, spending reduced. They'd like to see the budget get balanced. Now, we're not going to do that in a year or two, but we got to lay out a plan to do it. And if it takes 10 years, it takes 10 years. But let's get the plan in place. Now, it may be a bitter pill to have to tell people that we got to do some major reforms here, especially in entitlements. Doesn't mean we have to take entitlements away from people who have it. We're not going to take Social Security away. But there are ways that we can reform these programs to enhance them, to make them more durable. Right now, there's no money in the Social Security account. People think they have money sitting in there. They don't have anything sitting there. Nothing. So, and I'm a strong believer in the people. They'll sort it out. I mean, people say, well, what about primaries? What about Scott Brown? You know what? Scott Brown puts his pants on the same way I do, too. I mean, he is much more liberal. He clearly, he voted, he certainly supported the equivalent of Obamacare in Massachusetts. And now he wants to come up here and be the senator from New Hampshire. I mean, come on. I mean, I think people can see through it. And look, here's the other thing. It doesn't matter about party, but people, one thing that I've figured out, and I think the American people have figured it out, and I think people in New Hampshire have figured it out, the economy, the way it's going now, with jobs are down. I mean, our jobs are terrible. The growth is terrible. Taxes are too high. Spending is too high, and we have a galloping horse toward centralization. Some would say socialization, but certainly centralization, increased centralization. I mean, that horse is moving at a fast speed. Like the old stunt rider, you got to jump on that horse. You've seen the old cowboy movies where they jump on it and they jump over in the saddle. You got to grab those reins, pull him back and stop him. Then you got to turn him around and move that debt clock back. You're not going to do that with this marginalism of I'll be a little squishy on this program or that program. You got to be willing to bite the bullet, make the tough fiscal decisions to do it. And that's what I'm going to do. I will do it. And I've done it. I mean,
we need a majority of that.
We need a majority of conservative Republicans who are willing.
That's what was done in 2010, although that got turned around when they came in better organized to get the vote out than we did.
Right.
And that's what we're going to have to watch out.
We got to organize, and I'm, if I could brag a little bit, we've always had a great grassroots team.
Good.
From the first time I ran, we've organized from the ground up, and that's the best way. That's the most fun anyway.
But you got to get the people interested in this and get them to understand how necessary it is for them to understand what's happening to this country.
Well, if you look at it too, there are lots of, the Tea Party, for example, was not, they weren't happy with Scott Brown from what he did. I mean, I think the people of New Hampshire have to look at it this way. Do you want a conservative Republican to represent you in the Senate, or do you want a liberal Republican? That's where it is. I mean, it's a simple question, and so they'll sort it out. I have confidence in them once the message is put out there.
Well, yeah, you have the experience, you have the background, but the newer voters that are here, do they know you, and how are you going to, because the media does a lot, unfortunately, for the other side, and they're more enamored with Scott Brown than maybe any of the other people that are running.
Yeah, and I agree. There are probably 25 or 30% of the electorate are voters that were not here the last time I ran for office. For a sundry of reasons. One, some people may have been 16 or 17 years old, couldn't vote, now they're voting. There may have been people who passed away, and other people now have moved into the state. So, 30% roughly of the electorate is different than it was the last time. So you have to reintroduce yourself to them. You always have, whenever you've served for the number of years that I have, you're going to have people that don't like you, and you're going to have people that don't like some of the votes you made. But I think as long as you're honest with them and don't try to mislead them, I think they respect that there are differences. But so we're going to craft our message and get it out there, and people will get a chance to see Bob Smith. And remember also, it's not just the economic issues. I'm pro-gun, had a 100% voting record, 100% voting record with the NRA and the gun owners of American gun owners in New Hampshire. I mean, for 18 years. When I go to Congress, if I go back to the Senate, I don't have to say, this is what I will do. I do have to say that, but this is what I did do. And so what I did do is a pretty good indicator of what I will do. And 100% pro-life voting record, I'm proud of that. And Brown is wrong on all those issues. He's wrong on the fiscal issues, he's wrong on the life issue, he's wrong on the gun issues. We're going to have our activists out there working.
Yeah, last election, too, that 15% of the total vote was registered the last day. Now, that, I think, is something we have to concern ourselves with.
It is a concern, and I did talk to the Secretary of State's office about that. And I talked to the Assistant Secretary of State, not Mr. Gardner directly. But they told me that they've pretty well cleaned that up, and the voter lists have been purged of those who may have been here, what should I say, for reasons that we don't necessarily have to go into, political reasons.
Well, I think they're avoiding making any of that public. They have one person that they're going to challenge, I guess, or maybe indict. I don't know. Yeah. But that I thought was kind of silly even to mention it. But if they do have to clean it up, because we found a number of people here, not an overwhelming number, but the fact that people think they can get away with coming in and voting legally.
And it really goes to the essence of our constitutional republic, doesn't it? Because if you can't be confident that the votes are first of all, you're eligible to vote, and then that the votes are counted, that goes to, I like to be able to think that if I go out and I run one vote, if your vote or my vote is the deciding vote, so be it. That's the way it should be. And you should have confidence that that's the way it is. I get a little nervous with some of these machines, because you push a button and then it says your vote's recorded. Well, how do you know?
Yeah.
But I'll trust the little old ladies and little old guys that count. I'll trust them. If they make a mistake, I'm willing to live with it.
Yeah.
But I don't like the idea of having somebody corrupt a machine or somebody who's not eligible to voting here. That is wrong. I voted against motor voter because that was just an invitation to cheat. It makes it so much easier.
I agree there, but you think you should? Would you vote to get rid of the same-day registration?
Well, I don't know. That's a state issue in terms of whether they want to do that or not. As long as you live here, if you live here, I don't have a problem with that. If you can come in and you show your documentation that this is your residence and you live here, That's okay. I mean, I don't want to deny people the right to vote who are eligible to vote, but it's people who are not. And it's motor voter. I mean, I know when last time I was in Congress, we had we were investigating an election in Louisiana where Mary Landrieu had won by something like 3,000 or 4,000 votes. And we had a guy come in and testify. He said, I voted 10 times for Landrieu. He said, I started in northern Louisiana and I came down the river and I voted 10 times and I was promised $10 a vote. And then I only got $10. I'm supposed to get 100. I mean, that's the kind of stuff we don't want that going on.
No,
we don't want to have people from Nicaragua come here to supervise our elections to see if they're honest. I mean, I want to. They got to be honest. And you remember the Durkin Wyman Senate race here years ago?
I don't remember that.
That was in the 70s, and Durkin. And when the votes were counted, I think Wyman won by 8 votes.
Yes, I remember.
And then
it now.
they wouldn't seat him. The Democrats wouldn't seat him, so they had all kinds of recounts. They couldn't settle it. And I don't know if we had hanging chads then, but there were blurred ballots or whatever. And then they had another election, and then Durkin won. I think that your ballot is your ballot, it should be counted if it's done properly.
Would you go for photo ID for voting?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Because I think that would help.
Absolutely.
Because right now you could sign an affidavit and say,
absolutely. I mean, we have, my goodness, you have photo ID to get on an airplane.
Right.
Photo
Any
ID to
place.
get in the White House, ironically. But yet Obama says you got to have a photo to come in and see me, but you don't have to have a photo to vote. Yeah, I mean, you'd want to do everything you can to ensure that the process is honest. And, it's something that I never could understand why there was so much hostility toward some kind of a photo ID. I mean, that's well, we know why there's hostility, because the people want to cheat. That's why.
Well, you need people to help you out in your campaign. You have a contact. How should we tell people to contact you?
Well, we have a website. You remember how Ross Perot used to say that when he ran? He call www. whatever. But www.bobsmith4ussenate.com, the word for, F-O-R. And it's a good website. Most of the issues are up there. It tells you a lot about me, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's all there.
Good.
You can look at it. Any questions? If you something there you don't find and you want it up there, call me or contact me through the website, and we'll put it up there.
Good. And in the near future, hopefully, you'll put a copy of this interview on the site.
Yeah, we're going to do that. We will do that.
Okay,
we have a really, really good webmaster and a good website, and we'll put it up there.
And when we get into the campaign, we'll have you back again.
Well, that would be good.
Listening to all you have to say and what you picked up in the meantime.
Well, I want to say it for the record that I am a candidate.
Okay.
We filed all of our papers, and we're going to do a so-called formal announcement up at the Legislative Building up in Concord in the near future.
Okay.
But right now we're out there meeting and greeting and letting people know what we're doing and building our base. We're building our grassroots team, and I'm very excited. I mean, it's exciting.
So you're going to be developing a group in every city and town, and
I did it before.
That's it. That's the way to do it, though.
I think in my last campaign, I think we had a town chairman in every single town, and they were not just names. These were people who really
went out
cared.
and did something.
Yeah, really went out and did things, and we're proud of that. We had our maps up in the headquarters. This time it's a little different. We have the old, with the computers and emails and stuff.
And the social
media.
A
little new for me, but I got people that know how to do that.
That's what you need, because I know I have a problem with that myself. Trying to do all the things that they want you to do.
Right.
Keep in contact with them.
Yep. Well, that's part of it, and it's amazing how many people see that. And they can find out in an instant. One click of the button, I can notify every media outlet in the state of what I said if I want
that's right.
to. And of course, they can also get me. And it's fascinating. I can remember the days when you used to have to if you did an ad, you had to put it in a can, so to speak, and then you had to hand carry it to these radio stations and TV stations. And now, my goodness, with all this, the technology is amazing. But it still doesn't replace the personal touch. It's like meeting with those legislators recently. The meeting that I had was wonderful. I mean, they are, you listen to them and you hear what they're hearing, and they're close. I mean, what do they have? Most of them have about 3,000 constituents.
Yeah.
And Warren Rudman used to tell the joke that about the state rep in New Hampshire that had to give up his seat because his constituent died. I don't quote Rudman very often. He and I differed on a lot, but God rest his soul.
But that's interesting because, it's in here in Nashua. There's the wards have about 9,000 voters.
Yeah, I know,
because
it's
there's
right.
But otherwise, you're right. I mean, you do get down to see a lot of the people. It's hard sometimes to get all the ones you want to.
I tried to knock on all the doors I could when I first ran years ago, and I still get people who walk up to me. In fact, it happened just the other day, truthfully. A woman walked up to me. She said, "I remember when you knocked on my door and gave me a brochure personally." And she said, "That's why I voted for you, and I voted for you ever since."
Very good.
You couldn't. I did. I walked a lot of wards, and we had a walk list, so we knew. I had 2 college kids who prepared a walk list for me, and so we would take the Democrats off. So when you didn't have to knock on a Democrat's door and get your head bitten off, you would just knock on the Republican's door, and we could even break that down to those who voted in the primaries.
Right.
I mean, we're now, the voting turnout in primaries in the off years is very low, so you really need to get your voters
Get the
out.
voters out.
Yeah.
And that's what we'll do. And we'll
We'll
have
do
you
it.
back, and we'll talk some more.
Thank you very much.
Thank
It's a
you
pleasure,
very much
Carl.
for spending the time with People's View.